that God will guide him and deliver him from whatever it is that makes him want to destroy all those that love him the most. Whether he likes it or not, democracy has come to stay in Nigeria, and the will of the Nigerian people will be done in next month's presidential elections and thereafter. We believe that that is God's plan, and not even 1 million Obasanjos can stop it.
That is a very quick one.
Thank you for that question. I think it's been very difficult for many of us, and that's the bitter truth. I can speak for myself, certainly, and I'm sure I speak the minds of the overwhelming majority of PDP leaders and PDP members. A man that we see and we've always viewed as a father, and somebody that we have immense respect for, even up till right now. A man that was the president of this country for 8 years on the PDP platform, and who has assisted presidents that came after him, no less than 2, in many ways, in more ways than one. And a man that we regard, almost, it's difficult to even comprehend for us to describe how we feel about President Obasanjo. Our love for him remains. There's no question about that. However, I think it's very difficult when he says he's still a member of the PDP, yet he's saying the sort of things he's saying and doing the sort of things he's doing. It makes things very difficult for us. And I'm sure that with his latest contribution, it's left for the party chairman and the leaders of the party to make their own determination. On our part, our job here at the Presidential Campaign Organization is to ensure that President Jonathan gives a good fight in terms of the election and that he's able to win. That's our job. And we will take on anybody that stands in the way of that, whether it's APC or any disillusioned PDP people. I mean, we've all had issues in the past with the PDP or with President Jonathan or so on and so forth. That at the end of the day, when it matters the most, it's important for us to come together as a family and stand as one. For me, it's almost tragic to be standing in this battle without having somebody that I personally regard as a father and as a political mentor in our corner. But he has made his choice, and we have made our choices. And we intend to stand where we stand, and nobody can be pushed around or intimidated. And certainly this president, who saw fit to appoint all of us into positions to ensure that he comes back into power, we believe he deserves our loyalty and our support. I sincerely hope and pray that President Obasanjo pulls back from the brink and perhaps rethinks and comes to join forces with Jonathan to take on the opposition. It's never too late, even if it's the night before the election. To have him in our corner will be a great privilege and honor. But as long as he stands on the other side, and as long as he casts aspersions on the character of the president and the nature of what or raises questions about precisely what the president wants to do, and he's suggesting the president wants to stay in power by hook or by crook and all that sort of stuff, he cannot possibly expect us to keep quiet and say nothing. We have to set the record straight. We have to fight our corner. We have to stand with our president. We have to stand with our party, and we have to fight this election to make sure that Jonathan wins.
Union. Patrick, it no matter what it costs, that 29th of May remains these 2 issues.
He believes in the rule of the people. He believes in the voice of the people, and he's prepared to accept the verdict of the people. Come, the presidential election, the people will tell us precisely who they want to lead them, and once that determination has been made, President Goodluck Jonathan is committed to handing over power to the next government, whether it's himself or with a fresh mandate or whether it's somebody else. That is his position. President Obasanjo's position, in my view, and is contrary to that. President Obasanjo has set the stage from his latest utterances to put a question mark on the outcome of the election. And what he's basically saying is that the election has been rigged even before it started. So the outcome then becomes questionable. And of course, you know what is likely to happen when this election is fought and one side wins. There'll be all kinds of issues in various parts of the country. We pray we don't have a crisis. But of course, there's bound to be some kind of tension. And all you need in that situation is somebody to say the sort of things that President Obasanjo is now saying, for the whole thing to come up in flames. We don't want that, we don't pray for that. But my view, and the view of many of us, is that perhaps that's what he and others want. And of course, in that crisis then comes the suggestion from distant and close quarters of the establishment of an interim government and government of national unity, which of course he may be asked to head, or somebody else may be asked to head. Well, we will not go down that avenue. If that's what they want to do, we will resist it this time around. And I'm very clear about that. We will not accept that. Democracy has come to stay. There are no half measures, and nobody will teleguide this country anymore. We've had too many interferences with the democratic process in Nigeria ever since it started in January 15th, 1966 to date. And, they've always set us back. We don't want that anymore. Let the will of the people be done, and let the voice of the people be heard, and let us have a new democratically elected president with a fresh mandate on, May 29th. A new president will be sworn in, either Jonathan or Buhari. That will be determined by the people. But any manipulation from behind the scenes, or any attempt to create crisis or put question marks on the process so that everybody will be upset and will start fighting each other, must be resisted. We're fighting for the soul of this nation. We're not just taking on the opposition APC, we're also taking on those that do not wish APC or PDP well, or indeed any of the political parties well, those that believe they must be in power at all costs. That's what we're fighting, and we will stand against these forces, and we'll ensure that democracy prevails. Has been what? Kids. So-called party would say this to you. A man of Obasanjo's stature, a man of Obasanjo's strength and power, and we should ignore him. Whoever told you that is completely misguided and doesn't understand politics. What he has said is much deeper than you seem to appreciate, or whoever it was seems to appreciate. Well, I'll give him this much. Obasanjo had not said these things at that time. If you said you spoke on Friday, he only said them yesterday or whenever it was. So let's be fair to whoever it was. Up until now, perhaps we could afford to just ignore it and just say nice words and parry it. But when a former head of state, somebody that was military head of state and democratically elected president twice, somebody that played a very large role in putting in power his successor the first time round and the second time round, somebody that is an institution in this country and a revered elder, an elder statesman, internationally accepted as one of the most prominent men on this planet, gets up and tells you that your president wishes to stay in power by hook or by crook, and wishes to do a Laurent Gbagbo, and wishes to undermine the democratic process, and wishes to impose his will on the Nigerian people and deny them the right of democracy and the right to vote, and to completely upturn their will and to subvert the process. When a man like that talks like that, you remain silent at your own peril. You need to get up and state your case very quickly. Otherwise, some people will begin to believe him. That is elementary, it's basic. Now, his comments were not just targeted for the Nigerian audience. This is what you need to understand. His comments were targeted for the international community as well. Already, all you need to do is watch CNN and BBC and Al Jazeera to know that so many things are slanted against us in this country. And they always want to believe the worst. Now, if a man of President Obasanjo's stature confirms the stereotype that Africans, particularly Nigerians, are not interested in democracy, and that we have a sit-type president that wants to destroy his own country and stay in power forever, which is, of course, the stereotype that they always propagate about African leaders, untrue, unfair, but that's what they always say. And President Obasanjo confirms that by saying, well, I have concerns. And the whole process is being subverted by the president. You need to take it extremely seriously. It presents a security risk. It presents a risk to democracy. It is an attempt to undermine and discredit the President of the Federal Republic. It is an attempt to discredit the PDP, the APC, and all of us. I mean, we may have differences. We may disagree. It's a matter of opinion. You're either with Buhari, you're with Jonathan, or anyone else. But for goodness sake, what is sacrosanct and what is important is that we must keep democracy. We must ensure that democracy remains. And whoever wins at the end of the day, let that person be democratically elected. We'll have a virile, strong opposition. That is good for us all. But any talk of subversion, any talk of going back to interim national government, whatever it is, or any talk of trying to pull down a president or a government simply because you feel that you cannot have your way with that president, I think it's most uncalled for. And we will not remain silent. It is wrong to remain silent. This cannot be said in any country in the world, any democracy in the world. And the ruling party or the president or at least his campaign organization who are charged with ensuring that he wins at the polls in a few weeks' time when we go to the polls will now keep quiet and say, oh, well, maybe President Obasanjo had a point. Let's ignore him. Let's go to the polls. What will we tell our people when they ask us? So it's the right and proper thing to address these issues. And I will tell you this, and I might add this, because it's in next month's presidential election. And that is why he wants to destroy the credibility of the whole process right from the outset. What he's trying to say in his latest contribution is that if President Jonathan wins, then the election must have been rigged right from the outset. This is not only wrong, but it is also unfair and uncharitable. If President Obasanjo has any evidence to prove his weighty allegations, he ought to present it before the Council of State and take it up there. He should also report to INEC itself and present the data of whatever sinister plan he believes that President Jonathan has to stay in power by hook or by crook.